out here, you would feel the earth start to shake. For about 30 seconds, the earth was shaking, and then it stopped. And then people thought, okay, earthquake was over, typical San Francisco earthquake. But then a second one would happen, which was different from the first one, within 10 seconds. This one was so strong that if we were standing outside, we would fall to the ground. Imagine being on the ground and feeling the earth shaking. Most of us, if we were out, would fall to the ground. And looking at the streets, we would see the streets undulating like ocean waves. If we would be on a street where there are cobblestones, we would see the cobblestones pop up, like popcorn. It felt like an eternity, but it was only for 45 seconds. And then it stopped. Complete quiet. The city survived. The city was built to withstand this earthquake. However, fires would start all over the place. Overturned gas stoves, broken gas lines, no water. Because there were broken gas lines, the water lines were broken too. So there was no water in the city. The city was burning for 3 days and 3 nights. One of the early tragedies of the fire, in fact, this was the headline. There were 3 major newspapers in California, the Call, Chronicle, and Examiner. All 3 decided to have the same headline, and this was the headline on that day. One of the first tragedies of the fire was Dennis Sullivan, the fire chief. He was sleeping on the 3rd floor of the firehouse. At that time, San Francisco had the reputation of one of the best firefighting units in the country. In fact, the fire chief of Denver came by to visit San Francisco a few months before and said, this is the best firefighting unit in the country. Fire Chief Dennis Sullivan was well loved by his men. In fact, the night before the earthquake, he was with his men fighting a fire. He came home very early in the morning, did not want to wake up his wife, so he slept in the guest room while his wife slept in the bedroom. When the earthquake struck, the chimney from this theater, from the California theater, fell and hit the firehouse and cut it into 2.
Wow.
His first instinct was to check on his wife. So he ran, not seeing that there was a big hole in the middle of the hallway. He falls 3 stories down, mortally wounded. His wife falls down as well, but the mattresses and the blankets helped save her fall. She survived. The fire chief was mortally wounded. The man who knew how to fight fires using water from the bay, using dynamite, could not help because he died a few days after. So the city was burning for 3 days and 3 nights. 500 city blocks would burn. This is the bay right now. That's Embarcadero. This is Van Ness, where they created fire breaks in here. 3 days and 3 nights the city was burning. 28,000 buildings would be destroyed. 226,000 people would be left homeless. Population of San Francisco at that time, 400,000.
How did they, I understand fire breaks, but how, if they had no water, how could they set up fire breaks?
No. Good question. The fire breaks were actually, what they would do was, they would dynamite a whole block. So the fire would not be fed by the wood, right? So what they would do is one whole block, they would dynamite that and the fire would not cross. So that's what they did here, was they dynamited the homes here.
Okay.
So the fire, but then early in the fire, because the fire chief was not there, they used the wrong dynamite. So the dynamite they used was actually spreading embers and all over the place.
Oh.
So eventually they found the right one, and that's how they were able to save. So if you go on one of our tours, we have a tour of the Victorians. You could get to see all the Victorian homes that survived out here. That's a wonderful tour.
Yeah.
If you want to see how it looks like today, the homes that were here prior to the earthquake and fire, you would find them here.
There was one street, it was Lafayette Park, where only 2 homes on the whole street survived.
Yeah. It's just
crazy.
amazing.
And then the rest was just gone.
Right, and it's luck. It's pure luck. In fact, you saw that on the Gold Rush City Tour, right? How that whole area, Jackson Square, several buildings survived while others did not. This was a photo taken from Chinatown looking up to Nob Hill. This is Nob Hill. There are only two structures that survive. Nob Hill is right here. This is Chinatown right here, Nob Hill.
We wonder why any of them,
Why these two survive?
Yeah, why any of them would survive.
Well, because they're made of concrete.
But
The others were all made of wood.
But you said that some of the Victorians had survived.
Well, because of the fire break. Remember, the
Yeah.
Victorians
Oh,
were
okay.
the
They were on the
Victorians
other
were
side of
the Victorians were here.
Oh, okay. I understand.
That's
Yeah.
why. So
Higher up.
yeah, and then so today we're going to see these two buildings, the Fairmont and the Flood Mansion. So let's walk out and then I'll talk a bit more about these men who were here in